Greetings, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and it's Sunday, and on a Sunday we visit a cathedral, a church, or a basilica, and in this episode we visit the beautiful Leon Cathedral in Leon, Spain. Now, the Leon Cathedral there is French Gothic architecture, and it's very well, you can see it very well there in the arches, the courtyard, and the cloisters. And we're going to look more at this, but let me tell you a little bit about it. It's the country of Spain, and here is the location of Leon in northern Spain, and it is right directly on a pilgrimage route called the Way of St. James. And so I spent 10 weeks backpacking across parts of Europe, and I walked that pilgrimage route, that 500-mile pilgrimage route, and made a stop in Lyon. So that's where I got to see the cathedral, both the outside and the inside, and I was really struck by how beautiful it is. Now, it actually is the third cathedral built here over time, and this one that we're looking at was started in 1205. They had a lot of trouble with it, and they put the project aside for 50 years because of problems with the foundation. And I love this testament to persistence and perseverance because, they kept at it and completed it. I don't know how long it took to complete it, but over the centuries, the 800 years, it of course had more problems, and they just kept reworking it and changing it and reinforcing it, and it took a lot of work and effort, but it is quite a beautiful cathedral. Look at those beautiful tall arches and spires, and it's also famous for the stained glass windows. It has one of the largest stained glass windows in the world, collections in the world. So let's take a look at the courtyard and cloister. The courtyard there is where the arrow pointed out, and the cloister is the corridor that goes around it. So now we're in that cloister, which an interesting thing about this type of a cloister, there are different types, but this type is allowed for protection from the weather, the wind, the rain, the heat, the sun, but still allowed in a lot of sunlight, and that's what the courtyard did. Now, see that structure there? It looks like that conical structure there on the ground? That actually is a pinnacle, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I'll show you more of that, but let's go inside the cathedral. And I'll show you some pictures here. Now, I don't have any more video for you, but we'll look at some pictures. And you're always struck by these Gothic architecture buildings, by the height of them. How tall those columns and pillars are, and the very pointy arches, and that's, classic Gothic architecture, including, flying buttresses on the outside. And as we're going to look at some of the stained, let's look at some of the stained. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. I think a lot of the stained glass goes back to the 15th century. It actually spent a lot of time in storage for restoration of the cathedral. And I am working on a stained glass project called the Stained Glass Night. You might want to subscribe to my channel or to stay tuned on that. There's a whole story behind the Stained Glass Night that I'm working on. You might enjoy that. I've talked about it a little bit. I will talk about it more. So let's look at some of the artwork. There's a beautiful bas-relief. And then now after the artwork here, we will poke back into the courtyard, and I wanted to tell you a little bit more about those wonderful pinnacles in the courtyard. So I have I'll tell you a little bit more. There's the lion, I guess the symbol of Leon. But see that pinnacle there, that strange conical structure? That used to be on the top of the building, and it along with another one were taken down to be replaced and placed in the courtyard, which is a nice touch, because the first time I ran into these, I was like, these are so bizarrely Gothic. I think they really did a nice job by placing them in the courtyard to keep them, but no longer to keep them on top of the cathedral. My first thought was, what is that, a water fountain or something like that? When I used my phone to send pictures back to my family, and they were amazed by this cathedral. There you go. See at the top there, the pinnacles, some newer pinnacles. And look at the flying buttresses. Isn't that amazing? So that's it. Let's take a few more pictures here. We'll look at a few more things. Now, the city of Lyon, isn't that? And this is one of my favorite pictures here coming up right there. I just love that picture. The city of Lyon is a beautiful, very cosmopolitan city. A lot of upscale dining and boutique shops and stuff like that. It's a well-to-do city right on the pilgrimage route, so it gets a lot of pilgrims. See, it's very clean and beautiful. I love Lyon. Maybe someday I'll go back. There's an eclipse coming up that's going to pass right through, I think, Lyon. And now, before we close out this video, I just wanted to tell you that I was so smitten by Lyon Cathedral that I made a paper project of it. And there it is. And I have it as a full, complete download for you, free, if you'd like to print it up and put it together and make your own Lyon Cathedral. The link for where to get that on my website is in the description of this video. I have a whole series of videos coming on my pilgrimage across Spain, my 10-week adventure across Europe, and my pilgrimage across Spain, which was 500 miles, and that took me 43 days. I walked about 12 miles a day. Remember, it's all about life, adventure, creativity, and never losing that sense of wonder. So here's a couple more videos in the museum, the Sense of Wonder Museum, that you might want to watch. Thank you. Give me a thumbs up. Check out my website.